All right, the news for today is that the State Department is potentially canceling a lot of visas. Now, it's not directly canceling, they're just doing social media vetting, but it is definitely true that the United States government, USCIS, CBP, the consulate, they're going after international students. Right now, the big news is that consulates, in reviewing an international student application, whether or not they can get the visa to go to the school after already being accepted by the school, after already paying a portion for the application fee, they're reviewing their social media background to decide whether or not they can get the visa. The State Department has almost full jurisdiction to review these issues. If a visa is denied, you cannot challenge them in court. But if consulates and embassies around the world can directly stop visa issuance abroad for a social media post, is this good or bad? Is it good or bad? What benefits do international students have for the United States? And should we not allow them to come in the first place? But first, allow me to set the premise on all the benefits that international students bring to the United States. Almost 1 out of 20 students in the United States is an international student. Over 40% of all master's students, PhD students, graduate schools are filled by international students. The GDP, right, the amount of money that international students bring to the United States, over $43 billion. To put that figure in perspective, that is more than the entire GDP of Iceland, of Cambodia, and other countries. So if 40% of graduate schools are filled by international students, all the papers that they publish, how do you rank universities? A lot of it depends on how many publications come out, how good are they pushing the forefront of human intellect. I mean, if you just research the top 100 best universities, undergrad, graduate school, in different fields, how many of them are in the United States? Now, the second question for you is, if the international students were cut in half, do you think they would still be up there without international students? The current universities that are leading the world, all in the United States, they would not be there without international students. That you have to grant that argument. You also see on the headlines the crimes that they create, right? They're supposed to be here to study. They're not supposed to be here to work. Yes, if they're working, their visas get terminated. But a lot of times what we're seeing, on the news at least, is that they might be a spy. They might be rioting, they might be protesting, they're supposed to be learning. According to the FBI, I'm reading, from 2019 to 2023, there's fewer than 10 international students who are criminally charged with espionage. Again, the numbers just don't really add up. I'm not saying there's no bad actors. Of course, there's bad apples everywhere. But what I think is really going on, artificial intelligence is completely transforming the fabric of society. In 5 years from now, 10 years from now, most of the jobs that we have today will be completely different, if non-existent entirely. If this is going to happen, is the United States stopping international students from coming in, helping secure job availability for Americans? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. 1 million international students come into the country. How many of them are able to stay in the country for OPT? How many of them are able to continue to stay? And how many of them would get married to US citizens and get eventually green cards? Or how many of them are able to come in and work and get job sponsorship? If AI is going to transform the fabric of society and there's gonna be fewer jobs in the short term, maybe what the United States is really doing by cutting out international students is simply just to protect jobs. Because what they're saying doesn't make sense. They're trying to cut out spies. FBI already did the report. You're gonna cut out so many international students. Right now it is May, June, and July, the crazy busiest time of international students around the world, because everybody graduated high school, everybody's putting in their application, they got accepted to so many universities around the world, they're going to interviews at different consulates. And now, if the US consulate is saying, oh, sorry, we have to review your social media post, well then, If they cannot secure the visa, they still have to get dorms. There's so many things that they still have to do. If they cannot decide in May or June, they're going to a different university. Why spend $300,000 to go to a US Ivy League institution and pay for the crazy high international student costs, pay for everything when they could just go to their home country? It is also a really good school. A little bit lower rank worldwide terms, but still extremely prestigious. So that is the question facing America today. Anytime you want to have a real discussion to think about this, you really need to have all the facts in play. International students did significantly help the United States. What is not true and what people should not say is that international students have harmed the United States. It is not true that the international students are largely spies, espionage, protesting, doing things that they're not supposed to do. That is largely untrue because of the vetting process. We've applied so many visas for international students, and after they graduate, the vetting process to get an OPT, to be able to work at a company, and then afterwards to be able to get H-1B sponsor. It is extremely difficult, right? You go from a student, 18 to 21, 22 years old, OPT for 1 year, graduate school for 2 years, 3 years, H-1B for 3 years, perm application, 2 years, 3 years. You are a foreigner in this country. You're working your butt off to be the best of the best. You don't get a green card application even submitted until potentially 10 years in. And during this entire time, you are paying more tuition than everybody. You're living here with constant fear. You're working overtime. You're doing so many things to prove yourself. And that's what the United States have enjoyed for the past half a century. So my question is, if we're gonna move away from it, how? Now, again, it might be more smoke than fire. For the public and anybody who's really thinking through the whole student visa situation, people who are international students, whether they're before coming to the US, people who are still studying here, people who are graduating on OPT, people who are applying for H-1B, this hits home, right? And anybody who's working in college towns, anybody who's working with international students, this is stuff that people really need to think about. Is this good for the United States? And if it's not, what should we do? Is this path that we're going down good or not good? What role does international students play in the United States economy now and in the future, given AI, given all the other things that we're seeing?